Standing stones of Louisenlund have always felt strangely familiar to me. I have visited this place many times since I was a little girl, not as a destination, but as something I kept returning to without ever really knowing why. I didn't come here looking for answers. I came because my body seemed to remember something before my mind did. When I made a short video here some time ago, where I almost unconsciously aligned myself with one of the most prominent stones, I had no idea what I was about to discover only weeks later. At the time it felt instinctive, almost accidental, like leaning into something already present. Only later did I understand that moment as the beginning of a deeper listening. The site has never been excavated, and the only thing known for certain is that this is not a grave monument. There are no remains here, no chambers of death, no stories of endings. And maybe that is why I have always felt such a deep attachment to this place. Nothing here pulls downward. Everything rises. This is not a place of mourning. It is a place of orientation. So I slowed down and began to listen more carefully. I started visiting the site almost every day, in different kinds of light and weather, in different inner states: morning fog, low winter sun, rain, stillness, wind. Each visit felt slightly different, as if the place itself was responding to time. As the winter solstice approached, the shadows grew longer, stretching across the stones like the hands of a very old clock. It felt as though the land itself was telling an ancient story of the sky, traces from the past quietly aligning with the sun and the stars. That was when I began to measure, not to prove anything, but to understand what my body was already sensing. I will share more detailed observations and measurements about the site in the description below, for those who wish to explore it further. The site lies 60 meters above sea level, on the eastern part of the island, at the exact 55-degree latitude. Simple facts on their own, yet together forming a larger coherence, a placement that feels intentional. As I mapped the stone's alignment with the sky, something else began to happen. At night, I started having strange dreams of someone guiding me around the site. An old soul, yet deeply familiar. He didn't explain things in words. He showed me how to move, where to stand, when to pause. And each time I returned, another piece of the puzzle seemed to fall quietly into place. The stones are aligned with the solar cycles. The most prominent ones mark exact compass directions toward the winter and summer solstices, and the autumn and spring equinoxes. These are precise placements, intentionally related to the movement of the sun across the year. The spring equinox, when day and night stand in balance, also happens to be my birthday. As I spent more time in the center of the site, something else revealed itself. Some of the stones appeared to mirror a pattern in the sky, not randomly or decoratively, but structurally. The pattern of the Pleiades, not perfectly, not mechanically, but recognizably, like a memory translated into stone. And then something quietly settled in. I was given the name Maya. In the old stories, Maya is the eldest of the Pleiades, and I was born on the spring equinox, the moment when light and dark stand in balance. No wonder I have always felt so deeply attached to this place. Not as belief, not as destiny, but as alignment. As if something in me recognizes the same rhythm here, the same turning point, the same quiet center between opposites. As if standing among these stones, aligned with the stars and the sun, I am not discovering something new, but remembering. And this is not unique to this place. Across the world, ancient civilizations returned again and again to the same cluster of stars. In ancient Egypt, monuments were aligned not only to the sun, but to specific stars, marking rebirth, order, and passage between worlds. At Stonehenge, the solstices shape the stones, but the wider landscape reflects a sky-based understanding of time itself. And among living indigenous cultures across the earth, the Pleiades are still remembered as teachers, ancestors, or doorways in the sky. Different cultures, different languages, but the same stars. We often describe ourselves as a highly developed civilization, advanced, intelligent, modern. And yet, 5,000 years ago, human beings were able to read the stars, trace the path of the sun through the year, and understand how these movements affected the human body, the mind, and the rhythm of life itself. They knew when to plant, when to rest, when to gather, when to turn inward. They understood orientation not as a theory, but as lived knowledge. Today, much of this is met with laughter or dismissal, treated as primitive, symbolic, or imagined. Not realizing that what was lost was not intelligence, but relationship. The relationship between the sky and the earth, between the earth and the body, between the body and its place in time. Perhaps what we call progress has not been a straight line forward, but a long detour away from something once deeply known. And perhaps places like this remain not as relics of the past, but as quiet reminders of what humans were once able to perceive when they listened more than they explained. Why the Pleiades? Because they are easy to recognize, because they rise and disappear in rhythms that mirror the seasons. Long before calendars and clocks, the stars were memory, offering humanity a way to orient life within a larger, reliable order. Not as worship, and not as myth alone, but as alignment. There's something else about this place that is harder to explain, yet impossible to ignore. Some of the stones seem to hold sound. When you stand in certain positions, sound returns softly, altered, delayed, not always as a clear echo, but as a presence, as if the stones themselves are listening. Stone reflects vibration. Stone carries frequency. Stone remembers movement. What is felt here goes beyond acoustics. It feels like resonance, a frequency moving not only through the air, but through the body. Standing among these stones, especially in the center, I notice how my breathing changes, how my thoughts slow, how my body seems to orient itself without effort. These stones are aligned not only with the stars and the sun, but with true geographical north, the axis around which the earth itself rotates. True north does not wander. It is fixed, steady, reliable, and the human body responds to orientation more deeply than we often realize. When aligned with true geographical north, something supple settles. The nervous system softens. The body feels placed, not just geographically, but internally. Ancient people may have known this through experience rather than theory. They aligned stones not only to mark time, but to shape human awareness, placing the body inside the same order as the earth, the sun, and the stars. So when stones are positioned with precision towards solstices, equinoxes, the Pleiades, and true north, they may be doing more than pointing outward. They may be working inward. And perhaps that is why these stones still work, not because we fully understand them, but because our bodies remember how to respond. What we often call energy may simply be resonance, frequency, memory held in matter, an echo from the past, not only heard but felt. Standing here aligned with true geographical north, beneath the same stars and under the same sun, I don't feel like I'm imagining something. I feel like I'm standing inside a conversation that has never stopped. And maybe that is why we keep returning to places like this. Why so many people feel ungrounded and restless, not because something is wrong with them, but because something essential is missing. We live surrounded by movement and speed, yet rarely align ourselves with anything that does not move. The axis of the earth is constant. It does not rush. It simply holds everything else in motion. When that reference point is lost, The human system compensates. The mind overworks, the body tightens, the nervous system searches for orientation. Perhaps much of what we call instability today is not weakness, but disorientation. Ancient sites like this may have offered a way back to center, not through belief or explanation, but through position. To stand aligned with the Earth's axis is to let the body remember where it is, not just on the map, but in existence. And maybe that is why so many search outward, traveling the world, hoping distance will bring clarity. But the axis of the Earth does not travel, and perhaps neither does the true center of human life. Maybe what we seek is not somewhere else, but somewhere inward, a quiet center that does not move, even when everything else does. When we return to these alignments, to true north, to the turning points of the sun, to the stars that return each year, we are not going backward, we are recalibrating. The winter solstice reminds us of this. The moment of deepest darkness is also the moment when the light begins to return, not by pushing outward, but by turning back towards stillness, alignment, and center. If you feel cold, you might try something simple on this day, the winter solstice. Find a compass. Turn your body so your face is directed toward true geographical north. Let your spine be upright but not rigid. Close your eyes. Sit there for just 10 minutes. Nothing to achieve, nothing to solve. Breathe slowly and deeply, letting the body settle into stillness. And then, quietly, set your intentions for what is coming, not from effort or urgency, but from alignment. Because 2026 will not be a year of rushing outward. It will be a year of connection. Connection to one another, connection to the earth, connection to what is steady and true within us. Sometimes all that is needed is to remember where we are facing. And as you sit there, let True North remind you of something else. Your inner power, the kind that does not need approval, the kind that does not argue or explain itself. Some experiences cannot be shared with everyone. Some things you see and feel will be misunderstood or met with dismissal or quiet ridicule. Let True North steady you in those moments. Those who walk a life shaped by loss, by illness, by grief, by endings, they did not choose, carry a different kind of strength. Not louder, not harder, but deeper. A strength born from having been stripped down and still standing. Those who have never had to realign may never understand the power of orientation. But those who have lost their footing and found their way back to center know exactly what it means to stand aligned with something greater than opinion. True north does not compete. It does not convince. It simply is, and so are you. Stay close to those who recognize this way of seeing, those who listen without needing to agree, those who understand that not everything meaningful can be explained. Stay with the like-minded, not out of separation, but out of care. Everyone walks their own path, some sooner, some later. And those who do not understand now will, in time, go through their own journey. No one is left out. We simply arrive at different moments. Standing here as the year reaches its lowest point, I am reminded that nothing is lost. The sun knows where to return. The earth knows its axis, and perhaps we do too. You might meet me here sometimes, among the stones. Not always, but occasionally. If you do, I will likely just nod my head and lift my hat, in silence. No explanations, no words needed. I will continue visiting this place, listening, standing, aligning, and I will do so long after my own journey back to the stars has begun. Until then, I wish you all a blessed winter solstice. Stay kind and shine your light.